smells like shit.
Make sure the framing is good. Oh my god, is it perfect? All right, what's up? Hello and welcome to the podcast. It's I Don't Want to Be a Piece of Shit, and I'm your host, Carter Doherty. This one gonna be not I. I tried to sit down and script this one. I was like, you know what, you're gonna organize your thoughts because this one is a tough one. It's a subject I think has been one of my biggest struggles in my brain, but I just I sat down to try to write it, and I was like, this is tough. You know what? I'm just gonna figure it out on the fly, and I don't know if that was the right move to do. But I guess before we get into it, I'll just start with some life updates. I'm doing well, keeping smooth with my habits. Friggin' working out like a goddamn Olympian. I'm getting strong as heck. I got compliments on my body the other day. Oh my god, I love compliments on my body. Ugh, tell me I'm sexy. And then and then I'm reading Meditations, one of the great works of stoicism, and boy howdy is it getting me right, you know? Life just is. Did you know that? That was the last summary of my solo up, and that was from a Zen teaching. But you just go when life hits you with something, you just go, is that so? But yeah, life just is. Nature's always good, you know. It's the earth is always going to keep moving on, and you just got to enjoy the ride, because you are insignificant in it, and so you just got to be grateful you're even here in the first place. You're just part of this whole collective, and you got to just keep loving it. So I'm really liking this. I'm really liking the messages in these passages that I keep reading. I'm gonna keep trying hard to be a good person, because that's all you can do to enjoy yourself. Reading that. My next book's gonna be Jurassic Park. I'm gonna do some light reading, some good fiction after this. And my situation where I'm living right now, my roommate, my ex, we're doing the relationship thing. We're just, you know, we love each other, and it's too hard to live together and not love each other. So we're doing that right now, and you know it has a termination point, but we'll get there when we get there. So that's kind of all the things that have been racking through my brain. Stand-up's going well. I'm making enough money to pay rent, and that's what's important really right now. Materials come into a slow halting point because it's hard to write when you don't know where you're at in life, and that's where I feel like I am right now. I just don't know. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm excited for it. I can't wait to experience it. And I feel like I'm in a temporary holding space, so I'm just trying to enjoy life right now. I'm just trying to do things every day that make me feel good and improve myself as a person, which is gay as hell. But that's what we're here to talk about today. Sexuality. So I identify as a bisexual man, which to most people is not a real thing. You can't be a bi man right now. You gotta pick one or the other. That's not it. You either gotta be the gayest man of all time, or you gotta be just a fucking straight as heck. And I understand that. I understand where that comes from, and I also, you know, fucking got the freaking pride flag right here, because you know, I understand that it's a little bit more accepted for bisexual women, because that makes more sense. Women are just hot, dudes are gross, and it's something that's, you know, made me question myself, and also my experiences leading up to where I am today, really make me question it all, because I've never dated a man. I've never even gone on a date with a man. There's been like close times of like where we watch a movie before we get down and butt fucking. I'm gonna get like blocked because I've said it butt fucking at 5 minutes and 40 seconds. Wow, am I already pretty far in? Actually, no, I had a whole thing where I had to go adjust the camera and see if I was in frame. All right, whatever. Let's get back to butt fucking. And uh, so I haven't always. I'm not like super open about it because why even be open about it when I've been in a long term relationship with a woman? What's the point of talking about it? It's not like the idea was I was going to get married to this person, so it's like why even talk about it when you've already solidified that this is the relationship. But now it's crumbling and falling apart, and I gotta find who I am. And I'm really trying to figure it out, and I'm trying to be open and try to figure out what things are like true to me or what things are lies that I tell myself. And this is why, like, you know, I guess I probably should have scripted this because I don't know how I can talk about this and articulate it without sounding homophobic, if you will. And that's something I really struggle with is like the internalized homophobia about it. And I think maybe that's why I haven't gone on dates with men. But also, no dude has ever asked me out. And I guess I've never asked out a dude. But like I guess the difference is I download Tinder and I get to swiping and I'll match with a woman. I'll match with 10 women and I'll message 9 of them, "Hey, how are you doing?" Okay, that's not the way I want to go. I'll match with 10 women and I'll say, "Hey, how are you doing?" One of them will respond, "I'm doing well," and then you text for it a few more lines and they stop texting you. I download Grindr and I get all I have to do is put a picture of my 6 out of 10 face on there, and I get 200 messages of going, "You're the most handsome man of all time. Look at my butthole." It just instantly, and it's annoying because like it has kind of warped my sense of validation, and I guess I want to get to why I question my sexuality so much. Is like it's really I think fucked up the dopamine connections in my brain because of how easily accessible homosexual sex is. Oh my god, if any family member is listening to this or friend, this is you know what, this is just life. And I guess the reason I'm talking about this is because I feel like this is something that maybe like more than just me struggles with. And also, I'm really just talking about it for myself. I think if I really sit down and sit with my thoughts for 30 minutes of rambling and talking into a microphone, maybe I'll get to the fucking bottom of it. But I guess I'll get to the what I wanted to talk about. And this is something that's kind of been documented and studied. But when I was very young, God damn it, this is so stupid to talk about, but whatever. When I was very young, somebody close to me in life, I got the diddled, which very common surprisingly common in society, which is crazy. But what's annoying is I wasn't even supposed to be the intended target. I was sleeping in a bed, and this person was heavily intoxicated and thought I was another child, and thought I was didn't think I was a boy, thought I was a little girl, and went down the back of my pants, and all they did was just little touch on the butthole, which, so like, my experience was very far from what a lot of people have. I didn't get the full awful things that have happened to people, and I'm very grateful for that. But then I decided, after like a few years, I decided to tell my family about it, and there was this huge reaction to it, and there was like, I went to the therapist, and there was just so much stuff that happened, and I think almost the like reaction that happened to it made me like made this traumatize me even more, made me think that this is such a huge deal in my life and that this is going to shape who I am. Uh, and then I was in Boy Scouts, which nothing happened there. Boy Scouts was a good experience. But in the back of the handbook, for some odd reason, I think because of all the diddling stuff that happened in Boy Scouts, there was this thing about how a lot of boys who are diddled lead to homoerotic thoughts. And this is like a key memory to me. And my brain just went, well, that something happened to me. Maybe I'm gay. And this was right at the age of like starting to masturbate and stuff like that. And also, I was like such a, I don't know, I was just such a messed up kid. Like I had a lot of emotional outbursts in school. I would flip desks. I was very angry and just pent up, I think, and because I just had a lot of emotions I didn't know how to deal with, and and so I like was already masturbating by that point, and I was masturbating to like straight heterosexual thoughts, and they were still getting me there. Like I was really enjoying them, but then I was like, maybe I'm gay because of that thing, and so then I started to like masturbate to homosexual thoughts and started watching gay porn. This was too young to do it. I also have this other memory, which this one, God, I'm exposing a lot. But I remember I had like this tablet and I was going through a rough time. And I remember like freaking out because I got in huge trouble for having one of those temper tantrums at school where I flipped the desk and started screaming at teachers. And I had to go to the principal's office the next day after, but on the way I was just like texting my mom like I don't even want to be here. I want to, like I was just saying, I want to kill myself. And my mom took my little tablet and I had looked up like easy ways to kill yourself on it, but also right below it was like a bunch of gay porn search history, and my mom didn't see all the gay, like I just remember her seeing it or like holding it in her hands looking at my search history, and like all she read was the easy ways to kill yourself, and I snatched it really fast and ran into the bathroom and cleared the history. And I think about that because I'm like, I wasn't even embarrassed about the killing myself part. I wasn't scared of her seeing that. I was scared of her seeing the gay porn part, which I think she just saw the Pornhub logo and saw porn, didn't see that it was gay. And it's funny to me that I just was like way more scared of her finding that out rather than easy ways to kill myself. But also she already knew that, so I guess that's why I was scared. Besides the point. But yeah, I was a kid who had unfettered access to the internet, which really screws up your brain. And I was, whacking off to porn all the time, just being hypersexual. And I was still jacking off and having straight thoughts too. But the gay thoughts in the other stuff felt like more of an escape. And this is why I struggle with what my sexuality really is, cuz like I don't know how much of this was like a coping mechanism with a lot of fucked up thoughts. But, the internet access led into crazier stuff where this was middle school. I was a young boy. But I discovered that you could go on Craigslist, and there was people just looking to hook up. And so at a young age I was able to get the things that I want. And the way that I like think about this is like every middle schooler, if a lady, like a hot teacher that they had a crush on was willing to have sex with them, they would do that, It's not the kid's fault. Cuz it's just they're the horniest middle school kid. But this is an issue for um, for homosexual kids, because men are more willing to do that, and it's a fucked up truth that we have to live with in as a society. But if a 8th grade boy is going on the internet going, I'm trying to get fucked, they're more likely to get what they want than, or like if a girl wanted to do that, like she could find a guy, and that's why men are disgusting, and it's, I don't know if it's biological or what it is, but I wish it would get figured out, because it's disgusting, but it's the truth. God, not a very funny podcast. But yeah, this is just what happened, and I was so disgusted with myself the first few times, and like would sit in the shower and just wash my mouth out with soap, and it never made me feel good, but I just knew I could get it, I guess. And this kind of just continued, and then I went to high school, and then I would start to I was having gay sex before I ever kissed a girl. And I desperately wanted to kiss a girl, but you can't. It's it's just that comes with time, and that comes at the appropriate time when it should happen. Not when you just ask for things that you're not actually ready for nor mature enough to understand. But it's what happened. That's the past. And it's, made me into the person I am today. So I'm trying to fix it and not be a piece of shit, because it has led me to be a piece of shit. But yeah, I think I really fucked up my reward centers, my the ability to realize things. And this is why I think I take rejection. I've just been having issues with it all throughout my life, of when I get turned down for sex. I never, luckily, my reactions have led me to not be the worst person. I've never gotten violent, and I've never done what I've heard or seen what men can be, and I'm happy that it hasn't fucked me up that much, and that I have enough control over myself to not react. But I take rejection just so hard, and I take it personally, and I think it's all about how am I disgusting? Am I not worth it? And I think it's because of how easy it is to have sex in a homosexual way, that when a woman turns me down, it's just what? But yeah, from a young age I was doing that, and then I got to high school and I was starting to date girls, and that was fine, but I was like, can I finger you? And they would say no, and I'd be like, okay. And I think I had the regular amount of horniness that a kid should have, but just no bounds, no limits. And I would get into relationships with girls, and then I would end it, because I would be like, this, we're not even gonna have sex. And it's yeah, because you're 15 and these girls don't want to have sex at 15 like that. But I just couldn't compute it. So I would every relationship I had was 3 months, and then I'd be like, all right, nothing, okay, I'm gonna leave then. And so I just continued on the path of just hooking up with dudes at such a young age. There's a reason it's illegal. And then in my sophomore year, we had iPads for school, and I had downloaded another email app, literally just to get sent homework over another email app, so they couldn't monitor me getting my homework sent to me by my friends. But I also had used that email, and I didn't even compute that this was what was happening. But that same email, I was using my computer at home to go on Craigslist, and one day I left my iPad in the cafeteria, after study hall, and it got turned in, and they just went through it to see if I was sending homework, because they were like, "Oh, Carter Doherty's iPad here, the kid that obviously cheats on everything." Um, and so they go through it, and what they find is more than just exchanged homework, but they see me doing all that. So obviously they turn it into the police, and it was I I mean, this is an awful, like, getting outed thing, but they have to tell my mom. They do everything, and that's the correct response. Obviously, you do those things, but it just and so the response from my mom was just like traumatizing. It broke her, and I feel awful for that. I wish I don't blame myself too much, because I'm just like, I was a kid, and I'm not. That was only like what, 8 years ago, so I don't know. She did the right things. She put me in therapy. She did all that. But what's funny is I remember talking to the cops, and they were like, technically you're distributing child porn, because I sent pictures of my penis and my butt to people. But they were like, we're not gonna prosecute for that. But hey, man, if this is what you're gonna do in the future, just be way safer about it. Go on Grinder or something. That launched me going into Grinder in a year's time. But yeah, I kept, and like I went to therapy, and I did all this stuff again. But it was more like, this is just what's happening to me, and I don't really care about fixing it. I don't see it as an issue. It was more what it was. But then every therapy, every therapist, every social worker, they just like are like, oh, this is because of the thing that happened with. Oh shit. All right. I'm gonna start from here, because I accidentally said something I didn't want to say, which is wild. Seeing what everything else that's happened, there was a thing I didn't want to say. But yeah, my mom did the right thing. She sent me to therapists. She and I saw so many different ones, and she was wanting me to find one that fit. And every single one was like, this is like because of the thing that happened to you. It's because of that incident. And I just think it really makes it a bigger trauma, because I've realized that it's not that thing that happened. It's so insignificant. It was a moment in my life. It's not. It did, and it. I shouldn't just let it shape me, because I know things that have happened to people that's way worse, awful things, and I can't just be like, "Oh, woe is me" because of this thing. And but I kept going to therapy at that point, and just getting told that, yeah, you're a victim, and all that stuff sucks. And I guess I didn't take the things that I probably should have been taking from therapy at that point. But I was just like, yeah, I'm fucked up, and this is just who I am. I'm just gonna be the guy who hooks up with dudes. And I kept going through life. But I was outed to the whole school. They didn't kick me out. Because I went to a private high school. They kept me there. And I kind of like. Here's the other thing: is I was making some dudes that were gross send me Bitcoin for it, for pictures of me, which I guess is highly illegal. But that was the story I told everybody. I was like, yeah, I was just I was sending nudes for money, is essentially the biggest story that I told. But I did come out essentially, and just at like at a lower level, but I was outed to the whole school, and it was pretty awkward. And something had to have happened, but honestly, it didn't stop me, because throughout high school after that, still kept hiding it and being the person I was, and had a few relationships, but definitely didn't like get the attention from girls that I had prior, it really, you know, being a guy that's bisexual is not good for the Midwestern woman. It's not very popular. And I tried, like, because, they just are like, oh, he's gay. And I guess that's also a question that I really plagued in my brain, is because I'm like, well, am I? But I have these, like, I do feel such a strong attraction. And then I guess to go back to the whole question of it all is like, I rarely see a dude and get like a little crush, but I don't know if it's because of how I've been what's the word that I'm looking for? Like naturalized, like raised, I don't know. There's a word that I'm looking for, but the way that it's all gone, just like I know I can get a dude. It doesn't, so I'm like, if a dude is gay, typically I can go up and win him over. And like there was a dude that was gay in high school that we ended up hanging out a few times, but then it was still always about sex, and it was never about like going on a date and like getting to know each other. And it's like something that I've always kind of pushed down. And then when I got to college, I was like, this is a fresh start. So I was like, I'm straight. I went through college as like the beginning part of college as straight, and it didn't really plague me, or I didn't struggle with it as much, because it was pretty easy. It was way easier than high school to hook up, so I didn't really like have those urges, and that's why I don't want to see it as like a bad thing. I don't want to, and I worry that it's like all this internalized homophobia about it. But also, like, when I think about what I want out of life, I'm like, I want a family. I want all these things, and I'm like, well, is that just because that's what you're told you want? But I'm like, I guess you can have a family. And that's like more internalized homophobia. Like you can have a family as a gay couple, but also like I don't want people to be like, oh, he's in a gay relationship. So yeah, I guess I'm homophobic. But I'm pretty open about it. I did my headline weekend, and I have jokes about being bisexual, and so I did it in front of my whole family. Everybody knows at this point. It's there's no hiding. I don't have to hide anything anymore, and I still feel this struggle on the inside. And I think this is something that a lot of people can actually relate to. And I think it's something that's not really talked about very often, but I know it's very common for gay men to be hooking up at a young age. And it's something that I don't know how we fix, because it's what it's accessible. The internet is there, and there's no kids just have so much access to it, and there's no walls. And I feel like I've heard so much of it, but you don't hear, like, it's very rare that a woman would hook up with a young boy, but the other way around happens so often. And I don't know, and I think it's just really made it a struggle for me to be able to process my feelings and how I think about things. And then I always wonder, like, am I using it as a coping mechanism? Maybe I'm not actually bisexual, but maybe it was all a coping mechanism. But is that just my internalized homophobia saying these feelings weren't valid? Because at a certain point, like, nowadays, I've figured out how to just enjoy it and not make it like this big thing. But also, I'm not doing it now. There was a period of time where we were broken up, where I, was able to feel that. God, this is a tough app. Tough app for the boy. A lot of silence and a lot of not knowing what I was going to talk about next. But I hope that some people can relate to this. I think a lot of people question their sexuality, but I don't think a lot of people deal with it the way that I did. But I know that there are some people that have, and I hope that people can relate to this. But I've been getting so much better about I'm I've been a hypersexual guy, like just way too horny. I've realized talking with people that I jerk off way more than the average person, like multiple times a day. And like at first when I tried to fix this, I was like, "All right, you're just not gonna jerk off. You're not gonna do anything." And I was doing it by just telling myself that. And now lately, I've jerked off once in the past like month, and I haven't even had to go like stop. Like I haven't had to like silence it. I've just like I think it's because I've been so good about everything else and getting everything else in my life in order that it's kind of just worked itself out. I've just been actually like vocalizing issues that I have. I've been keeping good habits and honestly keeping myself busy because you don't get the urge to do that. But so I think like the access to sex at a young age was just so brutal for my brain. And that's one thing that my like piece of shitter age is I don't think it's good to hook up like that. I maybe I'm a born again Christian or something, but I think you should save yourself a little bit. I think sex should be about experiencing the other person like you should be creating love, you know? God, this is stupid, but whatever. I think it is true though. I think I just used to use it as like I gotta come, and it would be better if another person made me do it. And I have done such a good job of just going like, you don't need validated by other people. You don't need this. I still struggle with it, but I'm way better. And I don't think I'll ever stop struggling with it. But I think if the more I just do the things that I'm doing now, I just, I'm going to therapy. I'm doing this. I'm reading books that are good for you. I'm listening to so much philosophy and working out and just doing things that are good for the brain. I'm eating so well. And I just think the more that you do that, the less pain those struggles bring. And I'm really sorry if you're still listening and this made you super uncomfortable. It's clearly an uncomfortable thing to be talking about. But I hope if you listen to all this and you can understand where I'm coming from and you can relate, I hope it helped you understand that you're not the only one that struggles with a lot of these things. Probably the former is going to be most of you. I don't see a lot of people that follow me or what my comedy is to understand what I'm talking about. But this is who I am, and I don't want to be a piece of shit, so it's something I'm trying to figure out. But yeah, guys, that's been the episode. I appreciate you listening. I've been Carter Doherty. Have a good day. Peace.